Well, if you've ever seen me speak live or listen to any CDs I do, you know that I love to teach in this manner. I give you a teaching technique, then I'll support it with stories and I'll support it with analogies. It's what I've always done. I used to just give information, and my students were walking out and they weren't enacting anything I told them. Some people got the message, a lot of people didn't. But when I teach it to you, then I tell you a story about someone who's used that technique, and it just clicks better, and especially analogies. Love to use boy girl analogies. I love sporting analogies. Any kind of when I teach the concept of looking long term, compounding efforts work if you do them long term. You know what I mean? And I've used a farmer to illustrate that. You sow the seed, you can't get a crop tomorrow. It takes time for things to grow. I've also used, along those same lines, the idea of compound interest. It's not putting a lot of money in the bank one day. It's a little bit of money going in over a long period of time gives you the compound interest and the eventual fortune. Well, really, probably the best analogy I've used for that is teaching people, if you want to get in great shape. So many people, especially in America, want to lose weight, want to get in great shape. And I've always taught that if you just go to the gym and you walk on a treadmill, you don't have to run like an Olympic athlete. If you just walk for 20 or 30 minutes and you do that 3 times a week, but you do it over a long period of time. If you go into the gym, instead of bench pressing 500 pounds once or twice, if you just bench press 100 pounds, but you do it for a number of reps and you do it 2 or 3 times a week over a long period of time, you end up being in pretty good shape. So I'm teaching this as an analogy to teach people the value of looking long term. But the hilarious part is I always taught it as an analogy, and one day I'm like, well, what if I actually do that? Because here's the deal, guys. Being in better physical shape is a key part to having a balanced life. But even if you're just one of those people just wants to make more money, let me put it to you this way. You have more energy if you're in good physical shape. So you can work longer and be more effective while you're working. That's number one. The second thing is if you're in a situation where you feel better about yourself, you have higher self-esteem, you're going to make more money. But it's not, let's go even a step beyond that. If you're in a position where you're dealing with clients, let's face it, clients like people that look good. So there's 100 different reasons for you to get in great shape no matter how you cut it. So I started doing it. I went to the gym and I hired a trainer. I started lifting weights the way he told me to do it. And I started working out and doing cardio, and things were good but not great. So the final and this lesson to me has got a lot of different messages, but for a long time my trainer was saying, yeah, Mark, you're doing much better, you're lifting more, but you're not watching what you eat. You got to watch what you eat. That's the key. 80% of looking great is what you eat. And I had selective hearing like a kid does, or like one of my students do. Well, I like this, so I'll listen to what he says with this, but this over here, I don't really want to do that, so I'll kind of ignore that. And let me tell you something, you can't afford to have selective hearing. Here's an analogy for it. If you're making a recipe, you can't say, well, I don't have this ingredient and that ingredient, or I'll leave those out, or I don't like this ingredient. If you don't put all the ingredients in, you don't get the end result. Put them all in. Trust the person who made the cookbook, and you'll get the recipe and you'll get the result that you want. Well, it's the same thing with me in a gym. Finally, I started to eat the right way. But you see, I didn't understand eating the right way, and thank God for smartphones. I got me a little app here that's called Lose It. And first of all, I've been logging my food every day. And I don't care if you're on Live Strong, the Lance Armstrong app, or Lose It, or whatever. There's a million of them out there right now. But when you start logging what you're eating every day and you start becoming aware of it over a period of time, you become aware of what you should eat and shouldn't eat. There's a book out there called Eat This, Not That, or something like that. That can help. The point is I became educated, I started making healthy choices, and let me tell you something, I didn't go on a diet because diets don't work. Because on a diet you go, okay, I'm going to make a massive sacrifice, stop eating everything I like to eat for a period of time until I get to this weight, and then what do? You go back to eating all the things you deprived yourself with, and the entire time you were dieting you were miserable. That doesn't work. You need a lifestyle change where you can eat things you like, but eat them in the right portions. Eat less of them, and you can still afford to eat a lot of the things you like. I'm telling you, get one of these apps. Start counting and understanding calories. And you don't have to get into all the details of eating 5 times a day. You really should. And how you break down the differentiation of proteins. I mean, guys, if you want to be a bodybuilder, there's more to it. But just to be in good shape, go to the gym, lift a few weights. Go to the gym, do a little bit of cardio, but log your food. Become aware of what you're eating and find a good eating plan that you can live with, that you can stick with long term. You're not going to do it until you get to a certain weight. You're going to do it forever because you love eating that way. I had a few people I know in my life prove that fact in front of me. I've adopted it, and now here I am, and I know I look probably to you like I'm in my 20s, but believe it or not, I'm a little beyond that. I'm obviously older than I've ever been. Isn't everyone older than they've ever been? But even at my advanced age, I'm in better shape than I've ever been because I finally learned the key. 80% of it is eating, and it won't happen overnight. If you start logging your food and eating the right way, 3 weeks from now, you won't look like a supermodel, but I can promise you something, 2 or 3 years from now, you'll see a profound difference. It's a long-term thing. So there you go. I have just, instead of teaching it as an analogy, I've taught it as a subject because I know a lot of people really do want to get in better shape for health purposes, but also so you just look better. That's really what it's all about. So I've been wanting to teach this message for a long time. Hopefully that made sense to you. And if not, then use it as a great analogy so you can look long-term in whatever endeavor you, because believe, you get this one last thought, nothing of greatness comes quickly. Anything that's really powerful, let's face it, why are Lamborghinis so great? Because most people don't have one. Why is having a multi-million-dollar house so great? Because most people don't have one. If having one was easy, everyone would have it. So if you want something that few people have, you got to be willing to give it time to be able to get there. Get there as quick as you can, but understand that it doesn't happen overnight. Look long-term. Think like a farmer. Think like a bodybuilder, or think about the compound interest. Put the efforts in, master the mundane, do the tasks you're supposed to do on a regular basis, and long term, believe me, anything you're trying to achieve is possible, even getting in good shape.